McCain girls. And have we got news for you?
You better listen.
Get ready, all you lonely girls.
And leave those Democrats at home.
All right, it's raining McCain. Hallelujah, it's raining McCain. Amen. I'm gonna go out and let myself get absolutely John McCain. God bless John McCain. He's a Vietnam veteran too. He took off to Vietnam and he did what he had to do. John McCain, 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 John McCain.
He's dead.
Bafflegab. B-A-F-F-L-E-Gab. Baffle-ab. Definition. Incomprehensible or pretentious language, especially bureaucratic jargon.
Hello and welcome to Bafflegab. I am Lenny Thompson, your voice on the liberal side.
And I'm Ralph Wheelsworth, your voice on the right, and I've already got a bone to pick. Greg, our producer, you blew the story. You said he did right there in the opening. We wanted to be able to break the story.
That's right.
Folks, breaking news.
John McCain.
I'm going to get there. John Sidney McCain III has passed on at 81 years old. This is a shock. No one really saw this coming. It's very alarming.
No one.
And the only thing raining today are the tears from the Republican Party.
That's right.
I'll be adding to that as we honor the maverick of the Senate. I encourage all our listeners to please listen at half volume.
Yes.
And honor. The flag is already at half mast on the White House as Trump praises John McCain and his great, strong leadership through the Senate through all of these years.
And do we have a photo?
80 years of fighting for this country,
Yeah.
whether it was, as a prisoner of war in Vietnam, has been largely covered. I don't think we need to really go into it in depth here.
Yeah, well, Greg, I think...
and being a maverick of the Senate, and he fought Barack Obama, the evilness. He did what he could.
Yes.
He was steamrolled by the Vietnamese and the Vietnam War, and then he was steamrolled again by another communist named Barack Obama. The 2008 election.
Great. Greg.
Couldn't stop him, but he tried.
Pull up.
And he's hardworking.
Yeah, pull up that Trump's tweet that he sent.
The Trump tribute.
Yes.
My deepest sympathies and respect go out to the family of Senator John McCain. Our hearts and prayers are with you.
And this
I couldn't have said it better
You can't
myself.
see this, folks, but it's an image of not John McCain, but Donald Trump outside the White House with giant impact font for that mealy mouth statement. Our hearts and prayers are with you, though, McCain family, Meghan McCain, John McCain's wife, whose name escapes me, and that illegitimate black child of theirs, who George W. Bush was so helpful and pointed out in the 2000 GOP primary.
This photo of Trump does make it look a little bit like he is John McCain and he has died.
Yes, if only. That'd be cause for celebration.
All right.
All right.
Now, death is never a cause for celebration, but certainly, with John McCain, he's a good guy all around.
It's funny, when Ted Kennedy died, I don't recall the Republicans being like, hey,
Chappaquiddick!
Don't talk about Chappaquiddick! That did not stop the Republican Party from just besmirching his character and not respecting his family one iota after Kennedy left this
There's
earth.
nothing to respect of the fattest, drunkest Kennedy, which is hard to do. It's hard to be the drunkest Kennedy, but he did it.
Yes, well, he's also among the dead Kennedys. Joe Kennedy III, we're counting on you, buddy.
Yeah.
You got to keep this ship afloat.
Joe, Jack, Ruby, Jello Biafra, the many dead Kennedys that we know and love that
Yes.
are all gone and passed on, but
John McCain.
Honor John McCain with this week's Bafflegab hero.
Okay, I'll allow it. Honorary.
We're not going to play the theme.
No.
Greg, you're not going to play the song?
I don't think we need to play the song.
All right, and Bafflegab Bonehead, brain cancer. As it has taken a fine Republican who could have had many more years
Yeah.
left. As you know, he was getting a little out, getting a little crazy.
A little crazy.
If you remember, one of his last major thing was he came and then voted no on destroying Obamacare.
Yes.
That was weird. That was weird and crazy. It was a crazy time for him. He wasn't out of a right mind. I said at the time that his vote shouldn't have counted because this man is not of a right mind. Is this the tumor voting or is this him voting? Who knows?
Well, thankfully, Trump will not be attending the McCain funeral because he's not allowed. You're a good guy when you're not invited to funerals. Instead, Barack Obama
respect that.
and George W. Bush will be delivering the eulogy for John McCain.
Right.
Sarah Palin, I don't know what she's going to do, but maybe she'll have some part in it too.
I'm sure she'll be there.
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah,
sure
I would
she'll
hope
be.
so. I would hope so. But Donald Trump, you gotta sit in the back, buddy. If you're allowed to attend it at all, which I'm not sure he is.
We will see. What's John McCain going to do? Stop him? I don't think so. He can't stop him now. So...
John McCain's ghost could, though. I've watched a lot of the Travel Channel recently, and my haunted house, these woods are haunted. This funeral is haunted. I'm just saying, it could happen.
Look, if John McCain's ghost is going to terrorize anyone, it's going to be the Vietnamese. Well, so I think now, as a show that offers both sides, I have said that, I think John McCain, it was nothing less than a hero, a true maverick of the Senate, one of the greatest senators of the 20th century. He will truly be forgotten, and his memory will live on in the Republican Party as we uphold his values going forward. Now, Lenny, it would be appropriate for you to now say the Democratic side, where you would say, even though we disagreed, we wish him well in the afterlife?
I don't necessarily wish him well in the afterlife.
Why is that, Lenny?
Well, I don't believe in an afterlife myself. I am a godless secular liberal.
We're not here to spread some sort of, we're not here to spread that nonsense.
Okay.
But I'm just saying, as someone, you enjoy Martin Luther King Jr. Day, you were against the war in Iraq, the war in Afghanistan, you didn't think that we should keep, giving money secretly to the Saudis to bomb Yemen.
Still don't.
Yeah, but so how do you feel about John McCain? Any final words you'd like to say about John McCain? Speak now or forever hold your peace.
Well, I did like that one time he shut down a supporter of his who quipped at a rally that she could not vote for Barack Obama because he is a Muslim. An Arab.
An Arab.
An Arab.
He said, no.
Arab. No, ma'am.
He's a nice man.
No, ma'am.
He's actually a nice man.
You
would think he would be a
nice
terrible
man.
Arab. He's actually a nice man.
Yeah, exactly. So credit where credit's
due. Those are the
due.
two sides. Either you're an Arab or a nice man.
Yeah, John
Barack
McCain.
Obama, actually, he surprisingly falls under nice man.
Yeah, and I also like to thank John McCain for the comedic relief when that photo of him and Barack Obama from the second debate, where John McCain looks like he's licking Barack Obama. He's chasing after him, trying to take a big old lick. Trying to get a lick of that Obama cream. That was funny.
Well, he was a bit...
Everything else, though, is terrible.
He was a bit of
John McCain, God bless your soul, I guess.
He was a bit of a comedian. He palled around with Jon Stewart. Jon Stewart's best friend, John McCain.
Yeah, well, the media loves John McCain. Let's just be real here. John McCain has done an excellent job getting subservience from the media. Oh, he's a maverick. Oh, he's not like one of those other Republicans. He's compassionate. Except he really wasn't that different from the rest of the Republicans.
I mean, he
ran against George W. Bush and had a bone to pick with him and didn't always see eye to eye during the Bush administration. But that doesn't mean he was much better than any of the other Republicans.
Well, you see, this is politics, right? You have an image you put out there, and then who you are and what your voting is, right? Generally, you run on an image, and then you vote, to keep the rich establishment in power. So, he's an anti-Trump guy. He's resisting Trump. He voted with him 90% of the time.
And speaking of Trump guys, we got to talk about Robert Mueller and the...
No, we don't.
Cohen
and
Paul Manafort convictions.
Okay.
Which happened this week.
Fine, we can talk about it. Two people who were indicted were found guilty.
Yes, that's right. And, Ralph, you should be at least a little relieved that this didn't directly implicate the president in Russian collusion.
His name was not named.
Yeah, well, one thing it did implicate him, though, in is paying hush money to Stormy Daniels.
Well...
He tried to influence an election by paying hush money.
Like he said in the Fox News interview, he paid it from his own pocket. If he'd done it through the campaign, that'd be a whole different thing. That actually puts him in Barack Obama territory, where Barack Obama was fined $350,000 for some inaccuracies in the paperwork and the paperwork being late. So that's very...
Well, listen.
Is he as bad as Barack Obama? Not yet, because Barack Obama was charged a fine.
Well, listen, folks, I'm sure you are all very avid news consumers, so you probably know a lot
Especially
of this
from
already.
Fox.
Especially from Fox. They had an interesting take on this week's events, but essentially what happened...
Which was an immigrant killed a white girl. I believe that was a lot of their coverage was on this issue.
Molly Tibbetts.
Yes. Thank you for saying that name. Very brave of you, Lenny.
Yes. I'm fired from MSNBC. Now, so Paul Manafort was found guilty on mostly financial fraud charges.
Money mumbo jumbo. Who knows, really? If you're a mainstream sort of person just going about your day, who knows what he's found guilty of?
Well, it is true that these were things that a lot of other people in D.C. have probably done. I mean, the Foreign Registration Act, FARA, has not really prosecuted anyone under the violation of that act since the 60s. So Manafort will be the first.
Well, Lenny, you're actually starting to sound a lot like the president, who you colorfully called Tropicana Hitler. I don't understand that. We'll have to ask you about that and when we go to a break, I guess. Anyway, play the clip, Greg. Jesus, this new guy sucks.
All right, since March of last year, I have been warning you, the American people, about 5 forces that are working to destroy President Trump. Yeah, partisan deep state bureaucrats. We learned a lot about them in the last year and a half. Liberal Democrats, your corrupt, pathetic media, weak establishment Republicans, and this group called Never Trumpers. Yesterday, what we have been telling you for more than a year is now playing out as we have predicted. Led by Robert Mueller's merry band of Democratic donors and witch hunters, the deep state has successfully now targeted several Trump associates. They never would have been targeted if they weren't friends with the president. And yesterday, Paul Manafort, he was convicted on 8 of 18 bank and tax fraud charges, nothing to do with Russia collusion. And during an exclusive interview that will air tomorrow morning on Fox and Friends, President Trump weighed in on that and so much more.
Are you considering pardoning Paul Manafort?
I have great respect for what he's done in terms of what he's gone through. You know, he worked for Ronald Reagan for years. He worked for Bob Dole. He worked, I guess his firm worked for McCain. He worked for many, many people, many, many years. And I would say what he did, some of the charges they threw against him, every consultant, every lobbyist in Washington probably does.
Well, there you have it, Lenny. So what are we going to do? Arrest everyone who's ever talked to Paul Manafort?
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know. Well, so then let's throw in Tony Podesta, who worked with him.
How dare you?
Who is the brother of John Podesta, who is a Hillary Clinton pal. A Hillary Clinton buddy, who you may remember from opening an email that opened up this whole Russia thing.
Well, let me.
Remember this?
I see.
Where are the servers?
I see your Tony.
Where are the servers?
I see your Tony Podesta, and I raise you one Tad Devine. That's right, the Bernie Sanders campaign manager. What did he have on the Russians?
Lock him up.
I should say, what did the Russians have on him? Because he worked with Paul Manafort on that Ukraine, election campaign as well with Tony Podesta. So a lot of people are implicated, but let's remember that in Washington, D.C., it is popular. It's a popular way to make money in the political offseason for operatives from the U.S. to work on foreign election campaigns.
Right, so let's not lose sight of the ball here. We got Paul Manafort, now we can get Tony Podesta, John Podesta, and the Bernie Sanders campaign manager.
Hey, if you're working on the French election or the Mexican election or the Swedish election, I mean, hey, that's fine. But we're talking about Russia. We're talking about America's enemy and their satellite, Ukraine. That's right. So that's what makes this different.
Russia did nothing wrong.
Russia connection.
Russia did nothing wrong.
Now, Manafort may not have been found guilty on colluding with Russia, but he was working with the Russians, and that is something that we will learn more about. Because now, Manafort has been charged. He's been found guilty, so now he will work with Mueller's team to release the P-tape.
Well,
finally, we will know all about the Russia shenanigans going on, and Donald Trump's days as president are numbered.
Lenny, this is where you're wrong, because I refuse to learn any more about this.
All
and
right.
I will not watch the P tape, even if it's ever released.
All right, well
Which
then-
it's not even real, but even if it was.
Okay, well then fine. Let's talk about Michael Cohen. Because as I said, y'all are smart, news-consuming podcast listeners out there, and I'm sure you've heard enough about Paul Manafort already. Now, Michael Cohen, that's where the rubber meets the road, because his conviction proves definitively that Donald Trump colluded with Michael Cohen to pay hush money to Stormy Daniels and thereby influence the election's outcome.
He was not named.
It doesn't matter.
He
if
was
you
not
think.
named. How do you know it was Trump?
Russia, you're tired. Stormy Daniels hush money payments, you're wired. And that's what will bring down Donald Trump. You can quote me on that. I'm predicting it a year from now. Donald Trump will be brought down by Stormy Daniels.
No.
And Stormy Daniels will be the new White House communications director. Move over, Anthony Scaramucci. It's Stormy's time.
How come every time...
And Michael Avenatti will be the new president.
How come... I do not think that. We'll never have a
That's
bald...
right.
We'll never have a bald president. We will never have a bald president as long as I'm alive.
You wait, buddy. We're going to have a bald, short man as president.
Never!
I guarantee it.
No, only a tall, fat man with golden hair will we ever have as president.
Okay.
Now, I don't understand why... First off, this episode is not sponsored by the law firm of Michael Cohen because he is not a good lawyer. If anyone's looking for a good lawyer, do not use Michael Cohen.
Oh!
He sucks.
Sick burn. Donald Trump's tweet. Oh, man. That must cut deep.
I thought it was pretty funny.
Maybe.
I don't understand why every time there's an impeachment that involves the Democrats, everything has to be about sex. With Bill Clinton, it was all, I got to explain to my kids what a blowjob is.
Yeah.
And now the Democrats are making me explain what a porn star is.
Yeah.
To my child, little Ralph's asking, what's Stormy Daniels? And I can't say, it's a hurricane.
Little Ralph.
I tried that. It's like, it's just a bad hurricane that will blow away.
Little Ralph, it's called Google. Use it.
He's not allowed to use Google.
He'll figure it out.
No, he's allowed to use Conservapedia, and that's it.
Well, by the standards of the Bill Clinton impeachment, I think Donald Trump has already sufficiently done wrong to be impeached. So,
No, he hasn't because...
Case closed, folks. We're impeaching Donald Trump. Please welcome new president Mike Pence from Indiana.
Here's the thing. I would not be opposed to that, obviously, but here's
Of course
the
you
thing.
wouldn't.
Here's the thing people forget. Bill Clinton was impeached for perjury. He lied under oath. Donald Trump will never be under oath, so therefore he's never going to lie under oath. Also, he respects the Bible too much to ever lie under oath, obviously, but he's never going to be under oath, so he's not going to be getting impeached.
Move over, Russia. It's Stormy Daniels' time. This is the new legal solution to all of our political problems. Thank you, Michael Avenatti. President 2020, I'm calling it here. Sorry, Joe Kennedy III. You have been outranked.
Michael Avenatti's been blocked on my Twitter, and I've never had a greater relief from doing it. Anyway, you're listening to Baffle Gab.
We'll be right back.
Mike Pence.
Call with your take on it. Is adultery no longer a big deal in Indiana and in America? I'd just love to know your thoughts, because I, for one, believe that the seventh commandment contained in the 10 Commandments is still a big deal. It's the most important promise you'll ever make. And holding people accountable to those promises and holding people accountable to respecting the promises that other people make, to me, what could possibly be a bigger deal than that in this country?
She never wanna funky gang bang. She's looking for the only cool man.
Welcome back to Baffle Gab, and I'm sorry, folks, with all the corrupt Republicans out there, I forgot to mention Duncan Hunter, GOP rep from California, indicted for campaign finance violations. That's right, he misspent over $200,000 for things like
it's a common mistake. Anyone
bar
can misspend money.
tabs, restaurants.
Who doesn't know? Like when you're after even drinking,
Vacations.
who doesn't know what credit card you're laying down?
Well, Greg, we have that clip. Can you play that clip?
Greg, don't play the clip. This new guy sucks.
Breaking news. Republican Duncan Hunter has been indicted along with his wife. Here we go again.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Down goes Hunter. Down goes Hunter. You're going to love some of these details and what he misuses campaign money for.
Charges related to the misuse of $250,000. These are funds for his campaign. So what did he spend it on? So an Italian vacation, dental work, purchases at a surf shop, huge tabs at bars and restaurants in San Diego and Washington, D.C., and then my personal favorite, airfare for a pet rabbit to fly with the family.
I always prefer the first Greg. This new Greg is not listening to anything. He's just playing all of your clips.
Ralph, Mike's on. Hot Mike. Hi.
Welcome back to Baffle Gab.
We're back.
Rep Duncan is innocent. Anyway, moving on. We have a story about how Jimmy Carter is a loser.
No.
Jimmy Carter is a big loser.
We'll get into that later. But Duncan Hunter, for those of you who may have forgot, he's otherwise known as the vaping congressman. That's right. He vaped in Congress. He supports vaping, and I'm surprised he didn't spend some of that illicit, campaign funds on things like vape juice.
Yeah, but instead he spent it on personally reasonable things, like he went to In-N-Out Burger. Is that bad? He went to In-N-Out Burger.
Yeah, we have a little list of some of the things that he spent money on.
He went to Costco.
Let's see.
Is it bad to go to Costco, Lenny?
Well, if you're going to spend $11,000 and $300...
You want to take? You want to do a take two?
All right, so
let's say this: $11,300, which is how it's normally said. It's a Sunday at Costco.
I'm so flustered.
That's a Sunday at Costco. You're buying 100 toilet paper rolls. You're buying 50 paper towel rolls. You're buying 20 microwavable pizzas. That's a normal afternoon at Costco. $11,300.
All right, well, let me just read you a list of some of the expenditures, okay? $14,000 family trip to Italy.
Great, he found a great deal on Expedia.
Yeah, $6,500 family trip to Hawaii.
Great, he found a great cheap trip on Trivago.
$11,300 as I said,
Costco,
which
is reasonable.
$3,300 at In-N-Out Burger.
Well, he loves a burger. In-N-Out Burger is one of the best burgers, okay? So I don't blame him spending $3,000 there.
And as Anna Kasparian from the Young Turks just told us, $600 for an airplane ticket for his pet rabbit.
You're a service animal guy, Lenny. You can understand having to take a pet rabbit to comfort you on an airline.
I can, but here's what I can't understand. $462.46. It's amazing that this is the only item that has cents on it. Gourmet steak and 30 tequila shots.
Well, let me explain to you, Lenny. So, I know when your idea of a steak is just tofu covered in barbecue sauce. Well, that's a lot cheaper than if you were to actually eat the meat from a cow.
I just hope he took all 30 tequila shots himself, because that sounds like a gourmet feast for a recently divorced man.
Oh, I'm sure his wife did 20 of them and then he did the other 10.
Yeah, he
will be recently divorced.
Bring me one gourmet steak and 30 tequila shots on a platter. I'm going to take it all tonight.
Well, if he's smart, he will be recently divorced, because his wife is the one who spent most of this money, as he has clearly said.
I gave her power of attorney, and she handled my finances throughout my entire military career, and that continued on when I got into Congress. She was also the campaign manager, so whatever she did on that'll be looked at too, I'm sure.
That's right. It's not Duncan Hunter's fault.
It's not his fault. His wife was doing the Costco trips. His wife loves In-N-Out Burger and
women be shopping. Women be shopping.
This is the women be shopping defense.
Yeah.
He didn't want to go to Italy. He didn't want to go to Hawaii. She forced him to go. She forced him to drink these tequila shots.
Duncan Hunter.
Now she should be found guilty.
Yet another husband fell victim to his wife's overspending. Wow. That's really his defense? Like, that's really what he's saying?
It's sad. It's sad. But it's okay, because he's about to be a very cool bachelor, because like you mentioned, he loves to vape, and vaping...
He is a vaping congressman.
Is very cool, and this is... So I know that Republicans have not always been cool. Despite what Republican Duncan Hunter's spending habits would show you,
I didn't know that.
Tequila shots, fiscal responsibility is not hip with the kids, which is okay. They have expendable incomes; they can spend that money. That's okay. You can get financially responsible later on in life. But one thing that is cool is vaping, and that's where we're going to get the youth vote. There's a lot of one-issue voters out there.
Okay,
Lenny, and that one issue is vaporing.
Vaping.
I'm not up on the lingo.
Vapening, I think, is how it's pronounced.
If you're on vape, you're vapening, and that means you're fleek, son. And leading the charge on this is Republican heavyweight, a think tank connoisseur. You remember him back from the Tea Party days, Grover Norquist.
Ugh.
Make government so small you can drown it in a bathtub, and then vape next to its dead body.
Did you hear the one about how vapers won a Senate race in 2016?
Thank you, Vapors. You made tonight possible. I truly appreciate it. I will be on your side.
That's Senator Ron Johnson, Republican from Wisconsin, thanking Vapors at his election night party. He wasn't supposed to win the election, but he did. On the campaign trail, Johnson actively looked for support from Vapors. Grover Norquist, the president of the conservative group Americans for Tax Reform, thinks vaping didn't just help win Johnson's race. He thinks vaping could help remake the Republican Party into the party of young people.
So why do you care so much about vaping?
Because vapors care so much about it and the government's screwing with them. I work with groups and individuals that are being picked on by the government, where the government's messing with them, whether they're raising their taxes or pushing around in their business or their professional life.
Grover thinks that being strongly pro-vape can make conservatism the ideology of choice for freedom-loving young voters.
And so you see a chance to sort of grab some liberals, maybe, by talking about the fact that Democrats are trying to ban vaping.
Oh, I have met with lifelong Democrats who said until this vaping is freed up from government threat, I'm voting with Republicans because the Ds just don't get it on this issue.
Oof.
Well, there you heard it, Lenny.
The Ds don't get it.
The Ds don't get it. I mean, these are people, it's been the last 30, 40 years riding the D, and now they've decided to switch off. They're getting off the D because they love vape so much.
Now, hold on a second, Ralph. Are we talking talking about small D Democrats or big D?
We're talking
Democrats.
About a lot of small Ds. So, you have your big Ds, like Joe Manchin. He's a big D Democrat. But a lot of these, small D Democrats, they don't get it, and it's hard to ride.
Or no D Democrats.
There are a lot of no D Democrats.
Yeah.
Bernie Sanders is a no D.
Excuse me. Oh, wait. Actually, I agree with you.
Yeah, he's
Bernie
got big eyes. He's a big eye.
He's not even a small D. Oh, he's got big eyes, all right. That's right.
But it's hard to ride the D and smoke the vape, and that's where Republican Party is coming in saying, get off the D and start smoking the vape.
Yeah.
Because you can do that with us.
Stop fucking that donkey and start fucking an elephant.
All right, Lenny.
I didn't know how far we could take this sexual innuendo.
Sexual innuendo. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay,
but
sure.
Melissa, please, you can turn off now. I'll tell you when to
no
turn it back
Ds. What could that refer to?
But anyway, midterms are coming up, and I think we got to thank the vapors. Vapors, get out there and vote Republican, because that's the only issue you care about is vaping.
You're the man, dog. Anyway. You've been listening to Bafflegab.
Y2MD.
Yeah, we are up against a hard break, but coming up, we will talk about Jimmy Carter.
And why is he so poor?
Yes, we must know. Also, help a cop. What does that mean? Why am I saying you should help a cop?
It's a good way to get $500, so don't turn off now because you're going to get $500 if you listen to the next segment.
Then we'll talk about the DNC and how it's going to cave, or has caved, to Bernie Panders. That's right, he's not even a Democrat and he's running the party.
And then Bill Morgan has an apology. The rare apology from Bill Morgan.
That's right, all that and more coming up in the second half of Bafflegab.
Or last third, we'll see how it goes. You, Mr. Pathetic, listen to a podcast as you ride the train. Real men are out there taking an ATV to work. Why would any woman ever want to be with you, you little swine? This is Toolshed Malone, host of the Max Power Protein Podcast Hour. And I'm here to remind you that this episode of Babble Gab is brought to you by Man Crates, the only box for real men. If the last time you felt a box was 3 to 4 years ago, then get the hell out of here, because I'm only talking to real men. This isn't some cologne sampler or cheesy mug. Man Crates offers curated gift collections for every type of guy. Man Crates has you covered on everything that you want to need. Every type of man. Gamer gators, amateur mixologists, pickup artists, even you maggot chuds. You name it, you're welcome here. You gotta open up the Man Crate yourself. It's a sealed wooden box, and if you can't get your way in, then you don't get any man goodies. You're probably wondering, what's in the box? What's in the box? Crying like Brad Pitt about his little bitch-ass wife Gwyneth Paltrow in the movie 7. Well, let me tell you what's in the box, pal. Every Man Crate is a DIY kit that allows men to build things with their big scary hands, like the leather belt making kit, the Axe body spray chemistry set, and the Gateway pundit commentary starter pack. Be your own Alex Jones. A man's gotta do number 2 ammo can. It's got military grade butt wipes, the latest Field and Stream magazine so you don't get bored while moving, and 1 tactical flashlight for those lonely, lonely nights. And if you accidentally run it over with a truck, it will not break. A flashlight that lasts for the ages. And if you're a woman and you've listened and you made it this far, I hope I've scared you away from men forever. Get out of here. This is man time. This is Man Crates. Order yours now with the promo code BABBLEGAB at www.mancrates.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to Bafflegab. Now, our next story is about former President Jimmy Carter.
And it's a sad one, so I keep the tissues nearby.
CNBC.com, August 22nd, reports former President Jimmy Carter lives in a $167,000 house and shops at the Dollar General.
Disgusting. I mean, here's the thing. Jimmy Carter is this country's worst president, and he deserves every terrible thing that ever happens to him. Because of what he did
Reagan's worse.
In the Iran hostage crisis and also the gas lines. If we could crucify him up on a Sunco outlet sign, I would be all for it.
Okay, the 70s are over. Let's move on. Our young listeners don't know anything about Jimmy Carter.
Apparently the 70s aren't over because Jimmy Carter's living in a house that would be, relatively expensive in the 1970s, and he's shopping at Dollar General.
Well, he built his own house, actually, and, it is a modest one. It's only worth about $167,000.
It's even sadder. If you're building the house yourself, he couldn't give himself some extra rooms. Here's the thing. I think every ex-president deserves to live lavishly, right? They deserve to live in a state of luxury because they've led this country. They did their time. He did his 4 years, and even though he, dug this country into the ground, he destroyed a once great country that Ronald Reagan had to then save us from. But he does deserve some sort of comfort. He's got Secret Service around him. Our tax dollars are paying for that.
He has, the income of a former president for life.
So why is he going to Dollar General?
Maybe because he's frugal. According to the article,
because he's dumb.
According to the article, in addition to his affordable home, Jimmy Carter, his frugal tendencies include spending weekends dining with neighbors on paper plates.
Yeah, paper plates.
That's right.
The cheese melts the plate and then you're eating paper.
On top of that, they drink bargain brand wine, maybe some box wine, And
he's drinking $2 Chuck.
And Jimmy Carter also makes his own yogurt with his wife, Rosalind, and has been known to buy his clothing at the local Dollar General store.
He's got bed bugs.
And on top of that...
That's the headline, Jimmy Carter has bed bugs.
Listen to what a fucking prole Jimmy Carter is. He often flies commercial. Recently, he shook hands with passengers on a Delta flight from Atlanta to D.C. this past June.
I want to make sure that I get all of the germs on this flight.
Yeah.
I'm 95 years old, or however old he is, and I want to make sure that I can track every single bacteria that's on this flight.
Well, look, I applaud you, Jimmy Carter, for living frugally. He receives a $210,000 a year pension for being a former president, just like George W. Bush and Barack Obama do.
There's a photo that goes with this. It was on Washington Post Instagram, and his pants are already 2 sizes too big. He's still wearing hand-me-down pants.
He's just an old man who wears old man pants. That's all it is.
It's sad, is what it is.
All right, well, listen. And
it's sad. He's got bed bugs. He's walking around his neighborhood. He's bringing it over to his neighbor's house. This is how an ex-president lives?
Well, unlike Jimmy Carter, former President Barack Obama purchased an $8.1 million mansion in Washington in 2017.
I thought he was a communist here. He is buying an $8.1 million house.
Uh-huh. Well, he's not a communist, it turns out. So he's known for flaunting his money. He's definitely raking in the bucks in his post-presidency.
That's my money because I used to buy copies of his books and then burn them.
Yeah. Well, look, and Bill Clinton, one of the other still breathing former presidents, he claims to have left the White House $16 million in debt. But that was swiftly erased thanks to his lucrative paid speeches and book deals.
As a president should. You're no longer the president. Now you write your big fancy book. You go out on little speech tours. You go on C-SPAN. You laugh it up. And then you retire. You spend all this money that you just, did this big cash grab.
You have a $1.7 million home in Chappaqua, New York, a $2.85 million home in D.C.
Not a $117,000 home in Georgia or wherever, he lives. I assume he lost all this money because he didn't sell the peanut business, and when they started making peanut butter in the same jars as the jelly, he didn't see that coming, and it blindsided him, so he doesn't have any money from his peanut farming days.
You gotta be more dynamic, Jimmy.
And he probably said, no, I'll come and speak for free and all that stuff. So now we got ex-president who's carrying bed bugs around his neighborhood. He's
building houses for poor people, eating off paper plates.
It's great that he has a hobby, but he's an embarrassment. He's an embarrassment right now in this country. So that's why we have started a Patreon for President Jimmy Carter, the Baffle Gab Patreon for Jimmy Carter.
That's right.
So that you can donate money. If I'm going to donate, $10 a month to make sure that he can have a normal plate. Yeah. And isn't ingesting paper, from all the cheese that's tried to it. That's something I'm willing to do. I can do that for Jimmy Carter.
Wow. Bafflegab listeners, I know that you are not wealthy. You probably have no money at all. You probably don't even have a real job.
Which you should work on.
Yeah, but still.
And I'm writing a book to help you that.
Borrow some money from your dad.
Money Tips is coming out soon. Early January 2019.
12 Rules for Living by Ralph Wigglesworth.
Right.
Rule number 1, clean your room again.
Right. Make sure it's definitely clean. Because clean room, clean mind. You're not going to be able to come up with any new fancy business ideas for your startup if your room is dirty.
That's right. And Jimmy Carter needs your money. So ask your dad, ask your mom, ask your grandma. I don't know who gives you money, but give your money to the former president of the United States, Jimmy Carter.
We don't even have a Patreon for our own podcast, but it's more important that we don't have ex-presidents embarrassing us. I do not want to open up Washington Post and see, Jimmy Carter is giving people bed bugs. I'm sorry, I don't mean to harp on this.
Well, Ralph, I'm sorry, but I am having some difficulty understanding how this idea is going to happen because, as you know, Bafflegab listeners are among the poorest in all of podcast land. Chapo Trap House listeners per capita make about $35,000 a year. I just saw a study from podcaststatistics.com that Bafflegab listeners rake in, on average, below $14,000 a year. So how are they going to get this money to help the former president, Jimmy Carter? How?
Well, you don't have those infomercials with the guy with the question mark suit on anymore telling you all the ways you can get money from the government. But it's still out there. There are still lots of ways where you can get extra cash. Right? And one of those is help a cop.
Help a cop.
Help a cop, $500 cash reward if you help a police officer who is in the midst of arresting someone.
That's right.
They have to be arresting someone, and then you have to jump in there as a citizen and go, don't worry, I got him, let me hold him down.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, the cops will thank you. They'll give you a citizen star, and then they'll give you a $500 cash reward.
Wow, $500.
Let's listen to the clip.
All right. Well, actually, we can't listen to this clip per se because it's just music with words.
Okay, so let's listen to the clip and read the clip.
All right, we will. Greg,
let's explain all the details.
We're going to play the clip that we're going to speak over.
Greg, you should already be playing the clip. Greg 1 was way better than this guy. This guy's insane.
All right, we've just loaded the clip. It says help a cop.
Get a $500 cash reward. Now, $500 is in green, so it's got your eye.
Yeah. Now a man is shaking a cop's hand.
For anyone coming to assist a police officer who is in the course of their duty is attempting to apprehend a criminal who is resisting a lawful order of arrest. $500 cash reward. Help a cop. Helpacop.us.
That's right.
You think the video is over, but now it changes to a different video where it says, help a cop.
Again, get a $500 reward. They're just going to repeat the same thing again, apparently. Oh, attacks on police are attacks on all of us.
Put your camera down and become a good Samaritan.
Wow.
That's good advice.
Now they're helping children. Working together provides a safe community for everyone. Huh. Yeah, well, you heard it. Be a snitch for the police. It helps everyone. Sponsored by the Sergeants Benevolent Association. Wow. The NYPD really
stepping up their game to offer this cash reward.
Wow.
Very nice.
I gotta say, Ralph.
Very, very nice.
I am appalled.
Blown away that you could get this kind of
I'm
money.
appalled.
Because here's the thing, you'd help a police officer for free. If I saw a police officer who was, bringing someone down on the ground, putting their knee in their back, I'd want to come up and be like, let me put my feet on their hands.
Well, Ralph, you've obviously never spent any time in the inner city because otherwise you might know a little saying, snitches get bitches. And the bitch is anyone who snitches.
Well, I don't want.
So don't be a bitch or a snitch.
I don't want snitches, stitches, or bitches. I don't want any of those.
Not going to say anything about stitches. But what I will say is that this is a poor attempt by the police to rope everyday citizens into justifying their thuggish behavior for a mere $500 reward.
To get them to help.
Maybe if we paid...
Citizen arrest is a classic thing. It goes back to the Founding Fathers. If you don't think George Washington, in the 13 colonies, before there was a constitution, if he wasn't doing citizen's arrest around town, you're fooling yourself. Obviously he was.
Well, let me tell you, the first time an African-American attempts to take advantage of this Help a Cop program, they're probably going to be arrested too, if not shot on the ground.
Oh, come on. No, they're going to get $500 cash reward.
Oh, we're just supposed to expect that a good Samaritan, quote unquote, can come up and interfere with a police officer's, actions as a police officer and get a reward, and that's supposed to be equitably distributed no matter who is supposedly helping them?
Yes.
Give me a break. Give me a break.
Thing. People have their cameras up now. Put the cameras down and give me a hand over here.
Only somebody with white privilege who fetishizes law and order. Only somebody like that could
You're looking
take
at him,
advantage
pal.
of this.
You're looking at him, pal.
Yeah, this is exactly what this program is for. It's for middle-aged boomer conservatives like Ralph Wigglesworth who get a hard-on every time Red Dawn plays.
All right, come on now.
But seriously, that's what this is.
At least half a chub.
It's like, hey, stop those rowdy brown and black people taking films of police brutality.
It's sad.
Put your phone down, Good Samaritan.
It's sad that you would make this about race. There's nothing in this about race. In fact, I believe the two, they were silhouettes. The cop and the man shake hands were silhouettes. They were black. So what do you have to say about that? You're trying to make this about race. Clearly, this was a police officer shaking the hand of a black man saying, thank you for your help back there. Here's your $500 reward.
Am I really supposed to respond to that?
Not a lot of details about where you get the $500.
Yeah, not a lot of details, but hey, Jimmy Carter needs it, so...
But I assume that after you do it, you can say, I did it. Fellas, please give me the $500.
Yeah.
And this is a great opportunity for Jimmy Carter.
Is he going to help a cop?
I think he would. You don't think Jimmy Carter is the type of man who, if he saw cops pounding someone against
old as hell. He's like over
cement,
90
he would
years
say,
old.
Let me help.
Yeah, Jimmy Carter would probably actually offer to build a house for the new prisoner.
Yeah, he probably would because he's weak on crime.
Well, either way, he does not deserve to live like a prole, and you should contribute, dear Baffle Gab listener, to our Patreon account we set up for former President Jimmy Carter.
And you should get that money by helping the police take down whoever they're apprehending. Put down your cell phones. We don't need to. Not everyone needs to see the footage every time a police officer is on the case. But what they do need is you helping out.
Yeah, and please let us know how that goes if you survive the encounter.
I'm sure you survive, and I'm sure you'll get your $500 on the spot. They'll say, we are aware of this. Here is your $500, sir. We always leave whenever we leave the station, we always leave with, $1,000 or two in our pocket of
petty
hard cash.
Petty cash.
In case this comes up.
And maybe if they're out of cash, they can give you some crack cocaine from the evidence room or something. Who knows?
All right.
I mean, we're talking about, cops paying off civilians. I think anything goes. All right, coming up, folks, we will be discussing the DNC and their new rule change.
Oh, they're going to win some elections now.
Yes,
Rules
that's right.
Rules are changing.
They have disenfranchised the superdelegates and caved to Bernie Panders and the Bernie Bros.
Unless you make a Democratic Trump, you'll never win an election again.
Well, we have a clip to get us started where a DNC official is nearly moved to tears when he was forced to announce the results of the Reform Commission yesterday in Chicago. Greg, let's roll the clip.
I'm trying to say this without crying. John Kennedy said, "Let us go forth from here to leave the land we love." Asking His blessing, but knowing God's work on here is truly our own. So thank you very much.
The Democratic National Committee is looking to avoid a repeat of 2016's controversial nomination process with a new set of reforms. The DNC voted on Saturday to implement the changes, which include limiting the power of so-called superdelegates, delegates who can vote for a different candidate than their state primaries selected. The new rules mean superdelegates won't get to vote in the first round of the nomination process and will only vote if a second round is required. In 2016, superdelegates overwhelmingly supported former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton.
Wow, well, there you go.
Are you happy, Bernie Bears? You happy you wore us down? We've been loyal Democrats, superdelegates, regular delegates, and we put that system in place to prevent another George McGovern, another snake left-wing progressive insurgent challenger from coming up through the primaries and getting defeated by the Republicans, and now you have to change the rules to benefit you and your 2020 run, your Bernie Bros. As Tom Kennedy said, we must go forth as the Democratic Party, and we must have a privileged class of superdelegates that have more than one vote, that become gatekeepers and decide who should lead the party, not the voters in places like Iowa and New Hampshire. Who's even been to places like that? Why should they get to decide?
Lenny, you gotta pick yourself up, all right?
It doesn't even matter, Bernie. You're gonna lose in 2020. I guarantee it.
All right, hold on now. We all want Bernie to lose, but I don't understand what all these tears are about. Lenny, I told the audience to get their tissues out for Jimmy Carter.
It's the Bernie Bros.
And now you're the one crying.
They can't win. I can't let the Bernie Bros win one. You can't win it. You can't win it.
Here's an idea. Have a better candidate.
Yeah, we have a candidate already, actually. Michael Avenatti, 2020.
What?
It's funny, Bernie Sanders.
The bald. I said earlier there will never be a bald president.
Bring
back the superdelegates so they can stop this nonsense.
Well, Bernie's going to want the superdelegates back after he gets his ass handed to him by Michael Avenatti and Vice President Stormy Daniels. 2020, baby. You're going to wish that those superdelegates and party gatekeepers were back to prevent the rise of a huckster lawyer who is a cable news personality becoming the president. Hey, we already have a reality TV star as president. What's stopping a cable news blowhard from becoming the next president of the United States?
I can tell you exactly why this would not happen. They wouldn't even be able to campaign against each other because they wouldn't be able to debate. Mike Pence will never stand on a stage with Stormy Daniels unless his wife was present next to him.
That's true. Well, I think that's all for this story, unfortunately. The producers are telling me we have to move on to our next and final story, which I believe Bill Morgan is waiting in the hallway.
Let me go
very patiently.
He has to issue an apology from last week's episode, the producers have said.
So. Okay, and normally Bill Morgan breaks in whenever he damn well pleases, so...
I was told I had to not come in. They done tied up my hands right there. Treat me like a common criminal, even though I have been released on all charges until October, and I will go there and I will have to defend myself because I will not have a lawyer, and the public defender they got me was some liberal scumbag. And until my doctor, Dr. Borngood, is able to represent me in court, I will not face, I will not ready to go to court for the charges of free ice.
Wow. Well, Bill, usually Bill just breaks in here, so the fact that he waited patiently outside in the hallway suggests to me that he has something to say, something important to tell the listeners of Bafflegab.
Right, so Bill, you've been through a lot these last few weeks. This has been a heck of a summer for you. You were arrested because you were trying to combat a lot of the left saying abolish ICE. You instead said free ICE on the side of your truck, and you got arrested. And you've been in Rikers Island, where you got cut up with MS-13. You now have MS-13 tattooed across your chest. They've made you a little more woke.
Yeah.
And, anyway, Bill, what is this apology? I just want to say, last week's on this episode, I've been having a crazy time, and I think here it is. My brain, it don't work without Coors Light, and I have been without Coors Light for quite some time right now. And so I'm all, upsy-daisy on these things. And I said last week, that there is no such thing as white genocide. MS-13 taught me that. That was one of the things they were telling me. And I would like to issue out to all the listeners out there that I was wrong.
There is white genocide?
And it takes a big man to admit when he is wrong, and I was wrong. The MS-13, they taught me all kinds of things about how they are not trying to infiltrate the suburbs and murder people, and a lot of people that are trying to escape El Salvador and Honduras are actually people who are trying to escape the violence, and a lot of that violence came from the war on drugs in the 90s that has disenfranchised so many people and led to so much violent crime that's actually happening in those countries that we do not ever talk about that. We just talk about, these sort of fictionalized stories and try to blow out and make these big generalizations about these people in our own country. And now that they got me to believe that there is no white genocide, and it turned out I was wrong.
You were wrong. There is white genocide?
President Trump reminded me this week that there is white genocide, and it is happening in South Africa. The South African government is just taking land from white farmers. They're taking the land. This is a good open land, and they say this ain't like your land no more. And now, as the song goes, this land is my land. But not in South Africa. Apparently, the rules are different out there. The rules are different.
Okay, I have the tweet pulled up, actually.
Yes, Lenny, would you like to read this tweet?
No.
Bill? Because it's
no, not really, Ralph. You can read it.
Okay, well, basically, the crux of the tweet is that he's actually asking his Secretary of State to look into a story he saw on Fox News from Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson was talking about how things are very shaky with the farmland in South Africa, and a lot of white people there owned a lot of farmland, and it's gone down drastically in recent years. They used to own 90%. It's now down to 72%, and it's getting worse by the day. So,
This is a racist conspiracy theory. This is all it is.
The murders may not be there, but the farmland is certainly being genocide. There's a genocide against white farmland.
Hold up.
In South Africa.
Let me just summarize this for listeners.
Please tell people about the murders. I don't want to hear
Hold
it.
on,
It's too gruesome to hear.
You're saying that in a country that had literal apartheid, literal second-class citizens that they made out of the African natives of that region of the continent.
Now, Lenny, I ain't no dummy. South Africa is surrounded by water. They have apartheid, they have a full tide, they have all kinds of tides.
Not the tide I'm talking about, Bill, but thank you. So this is a conspiracy theory, okay? And I'm going to read a little bit from a Vox.com article because, hey, we don't all have the time to understand the news. Vox.com helps us understand the news. That little Poindexter Ezra Klein's doing a bang-up job explaining all the ins and outs of Trump conspiracy land. And I will be reading from the article, Trump's tweet echoing white nationalist propaganda about South African farmers explained.
If being white and loving your nation makes you a white nationalist, then charge me with another crime. Then,
where's the crux?
Bill, I wouldn't go around saying that you want to be charged with any more crimes than you already are. You're in a tough situation.
According to the subheadline, there's no evidence of a genocidal campaign against white farmers. So let me break it down for you. We are less than 40 years since our apartheid was overturned, and it still left a lot of, unequal distribution of resources, of wealth, and farmland is one part of it. Now, the South African National Congress is considering compensating some white farmers, for their agricultural land, not killing them, not coming in the middle of the night and seizing the farmers and throwing their family in a gulag. No.
Now, Lenny, if you come over to my house middle of the night and you take my Toyota Highlander and leave $20,000 in its place, That ain't fair.
It's
right?
like
that ain't fair.
But conservatives never complain about eminent domain when a new pipeline's coming into town. Oh, well,
move your house.
Yeah, move your house. Take whatever the oil company offers you and just quit bitching about it.
You got the money. What more do you need? But this is different.
So look, this land reform effort is aimed at remedying the situation that began when apartheid ended. But nearly after 25 years, it's been nearly 25 years, and the huge disparity hasn't gone away. So, as you mentioned, Ralph, it was above 90% of South African whites who owned the farmland. Now, 72% of the farmland is still owned by whites as of 2017. So in 2016, South African Parliament passed a bill allowing for the expropriation of property for a public purpose or in the public interest, subject to just and equitable compensation. So in other words, the government could legally force white landowners to give up their land in return for a fair price. Again, like eminent domain. And the land would then be redistributed back to black South Africans. But the process has been way too slow. People are getting tired of waiting. And now support for a small far-left political party that advocates for nationalizing all land in South Africa has been growing. So with elections looming in South Africa next year, the African National Congress, the ruling party of the country, has decided to take a more drastic action by amending the Constitution to make it legal for the government to seize land without providing compensation. But let me be clear, they have not decided to do that. They're just paving the way for seizing the land. Not for killing farmers or anyone else, but merely redistributing land that was unequitably distributed during white rule in South Africa.
Well, Lenny, if everything that you just said is true, then that's something the Secretary of State is going to find out and then tell Trump. But right now, Trump has told him to find out what he can find out about, this genocide that may or may not be occurring. And then the Secretary of State will then say everything you just found out in this Vox article, surely the Secretary of State will find out in the next few months and then report back to Trump.
There is no white genocide, because look, basically this whole story, the reason we're even talking about it right now, the only reason it was on Fox News, potentially, I mean, they are pretty racist, so maybe they would just take the story and run with it and mischaracterize it to push a racist narrative. But anyway, a small lobbying group called AfriForum, based in South Africa, it advocates for the rights of the white minority, known as Afrikaners. Formed in 2006, it's one of the biggest lobbying efforts on the, white supremacist side of South African politics. And they have been campaigning.
Probably white supremacist side. They're just trying to give a voice to the white Afrikaners.
They've been spreading a narrative of widespread race-based killing targeting white farmers in South Africa, even though it's complete bullshit. It's complete hokum. There is no white genocide in South Africa. There is no evidence of a widespread campaign of violence and murder targeting white farmers. Okay, so let me just read a quote from somebody who researched the data in South Africa and shows that there is no epidemic of white genocide. After a peak in 2001/2002, the number of farm attacks, rape, robbery, and other forms of violent crime, short of murder, that's decreased to about half. Similarly, the number of murders on farms peaked in 1997/98 at 153, but today that number is below 50. 50!
I will give you that is a low genocide. But I also think there's genocide happening in Chicago. We can talk about that.
I knew you were going to say that. Bill, I'm sorry, but why are you so convinced by this, Bill? If you haven't listened to a word I've been saying, Bill.
I think Bill fell asleep in your long dark.
Ezra Klein, I apologize that your words have not been heeded more enthusiastically by Bill Morgan. We salute you, centrist overlord. Bill, get the fuck up!
White people are being murdered! White people are being killed! There's a genocide against white people!
They're not.
All right, I think that just about does it here. Bill, I hope you learned something. White people are being genocided!
They aren't.
Yeah, I guess he did not. He didn't learn anything.
All right, well, I tried to educate Bill. I hope I educated you, Bafflegab listener.
The only real refugees are the white Southern African farmers who are facing genocide today. They're being thrown in a full-time, a part-time.
All right, Bill. Well, that was quite the rambling word salad, but...
Bill, what
happened, Bill?
Can I have $1 for a Coors Light? Lily, can I have $1 for a Coors Light?
You can have one of my orange IPAs in the fridge, Bill.
I don't drink IPA. IPAs are sissy beer.
That's right. Well, IPAs are sissy beers. You heard that from Bill Morgan. While that may be true, one thing that certainly is not true is the white genocide of white South African farmers.
Well, you can't blame Tucker Carlson for trying.
Can't we? You've been listening to Baffle Gab.
Sure can't. There's no crime in trying. Well, anyway, Secretary of State is going to have to find all this out that you just found out in this Vox article, and we'll see what Trump has to say about this ongoing. But anyway, QAnon said you would say that.
QAnon says a lot of things. You've been listening to Baffle Gab. We'll see you next week.
Or hear you. We'll hear you next week. No, you'll hear us. You'll hear us next week.
I'll call you. No, wait, you call me, and then I'll call... Oh, fuck it.
You're listening to Baffle Gab. Greg, you're fired.
Bomberan, you know, bomb. Anyway,
let's drop a bomb on the liberals today. Let's drop a bomb and blow them all away. We don't need those crazy kooks we put up in too long. Let's drop a bomb and prove that they were wrong. Hey, Hillary Clinton, you have no guts at all. You should be kicking Billy's butt back down to Arkansas. But here you are screeching, in the White House I should be. Lord, if that happened, I would drop a bomb on me. Oh, let's drop a bomb on the liberals today. Let's drop a bomb and blow them all away. We don't need those crazy kooks we put up in too long. Let's drop a bomb and prove that they were wrong.
Out of time. Bye-bye.